so basically I'm in ag marketing. So what I do is I develop educational teleconferences and webinars in the ag industry. And so basically our audience consists of retailers, farmers, veterinarians, or any ag business really is who are that we're trying to educate and help them learn about new products in the industry. Actually, I went to Purdue and started out in ag communications and then took my first ag econ class. I'm like, time out. I really love this, just realized I had a business mind. And so double majored in ag econ and ag communications. And then really it was my work experiences. So I interned with an ag chemical company. And then I also did a semester with the farm broadcaster there in West Lafayette. So that was a lot of fun and very different. And it wasn't my first job. My first job, I was an ag chemical rep for about 5 years. And then when my first child was born, I was looking for something a little bit more flexible. And so I fell into this opportunity. So I would definitely recommend a Bachelor of Science degree. Ag business degree, in my mind, you can't go wrong. There's so many different things that you can do with it. Very diverse, not so specific, but very diverse. But just it's a nice broad education. I felt like that helped me with this. Really though, what helped me the most was that first job right out of college. And that's always tough. That first job out of college is hard. You don't know what you don't know, right? But working in the ag chemical sales rep, it really helped me develop the skills of just learning the technical aspects of the industry, learning about agronomy or products, how it works, the supply chain, how they come to be, and then the sales and the marketing piece of it. I had a 9-county territory I was in charge of in Southeast Illinois, 25 years ago. So, but that really made me realize I enjoyed I had a passion for the industry, but most importantly, a passion for the people. And so then this job, the product really is people. It's all about helping to educate others. And so that's really why I'm passionate about it. So no 2 days are the same with this job. So I'll go through kind of the timeline of a project, and that will help give a better idea. So it begins with working with the client, which my clients are like John Deere, Bayer, Syngenta, Corteva. So the larger companies in the ag industry. We identify their new products that are coming out in the market within the year. And then we look at some of the key benefits that will help the customers or help the retailers or veterinarians on how it will improve their industry, their business. And so then we also identify who is our target audience, who will benefit the most from this brand new product on the market. And then it shifts into managing people. So then I have a team that I lead. We have several recruiters, people then that will contact the farmers or whoever it is that will be participating in this. Also, we invite a third-party expert. So a lot of the university experts we'll contact them, and they have a component of making it educational. So I have the recruiting team, and then we have the development team. So I do a lot of the moderating. It's my favorite part, is the moderating. And then, I'll moderate for an hour, and behind the scenes, there's an 18-page guide that we have written. A lot of people don't realize. We try to make it look easy, but there's a lot of work behind the scenes. And so I help write that 18-page guide. And basically that just helps to make sure that when I moderate, we have a dialogue. So it's not just a university person talking, stop, a grower talking. It's a conversation amongst a university expert. Growers are the end person that has used the product in the past. And then we always have a tech rep to answer any of the technical questions. So I just know a little bit, but I don't have to know everything about that product, which is helpful. And then it goes to the days of moderating. And so that's my favorite part. It will last about an hour. I'll moderate. It goes by quick. The audience, I may have 150 people out in the audience. They can signify if they have a question, either ask it by phone or type it in on the webinar, and we'll get those questions addressed. And then they continue that day to day. And then when we end, then there's a lot of follow-up. So then we have a lot of summary reports for the client so they can see the impact that we've made. And then we'll also follow up with the participants if they would like to learn a little bit more as well. So again, no two days are alike, but that's what I like about it. It keeps it exciting. Okay, so for me, hands down, my favorite part of my job is working from home. Again, so many people have been doing this 20 years. Many people have no idea, could not comprehend, understand what I did. So I always just kept it simple. I moderate educational webinars or teleconferences. But now that the working from home may be somewhat of a trend, it's really accelerated with the pandemic. Other people are perhaps seeing what I've enjoyed from it, or others maybe not. But so I'm married to a dairy and grain farmer. And as many people know, if you're an entrepreneur, that business has to come first in a lot of aspects of your life. So by me working from home, that has given me the opportunity to have a lot of flexibility, to run the household, and most importantly, to develop the children, basically. If they have sports, no problem. I can stop what I'm doing, pick them up, go back to work in my office. So I just have a lot of freedom to come and go. Nobody's watching over my shoulder ever, as long as I get the work done and do a great job. So it's been my favorite part. So again, with a lot of experience, when I do talk to people who've just started working from home, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot. I kind of did that. I went through some of those phases. So for me, it's all about self-discipline. I remember our first house that we had a carport. And so family members maybe would think that I was at home. So they'd stop by or call. No, I'm working, pretend I'm somewhere and I'm working. And so it took some self-discipline there. Or getting personal phone calls. I really try to keep, like when I'm working, I'm working. So I keep my personal things out of that. My office is downstairs, it's out of sight, out of mind. But when I'm down there, that's what I do. So just a ton of self-discipline. And then also one of the most challenging things of my job is sometimes I have a quick turnover. So, or as far as timelines rather. So I'm waiting for a client to get back with me. It may take a little bit longer because they've got a lot on their plate. So sometimes I do have to work early in the morning. I mean, like early, or I have to work late at night, and you just have that mentality of you do what you got to do. And again, by working from home, that's made that easy as well. All right, so the question was, what are some job opportunities in the area? So basically, again, I really advocate for people to go into ag business. I feel like it's very diverse. There's a lot of different things you can do with it. A lot of different opportunities come your way that may not be the exact same industry or field that you're currently in. So don't be closed-minded. So I went through the marketing route. However, I have one brother that's a banker. I have another brother that's a financial planner. I have a cousin that also is ag business, and she's a pharmaceutical rep. Totally out of the ag industry, but she gained those business skills. And then I also have another cousin that's a comedian and writes for Jeff Foxworthy and that whole gang. He lives in Nashville, Tennessee. He was a sales rep with Monsanto out of college, but used those experiences of writing and business, which is important because he basically runs his own business in developing that. So I think if you have a solid business degree, there are so many opportunities that are available, and you just have to keep an open mind. Something that I have always prioritized is community service. And so it's two benefits. It feels good to help others, first of all. That's a great feeling and enjoy serving others. But it also keeps me up with current events in the ag industry, future trends. Kind of helps me visualize what's coming down the pipeline or different things like that. So, my career has spanned 26 years now. And so initially, my husband and I were very involved with Farm Bureau, different ag organizations and their leadership that they have for young adults. And we're able to be on state and national committees both. And learned so much about leadership. We learned a lot, probably more about people just across the whole United States and things that they're doing on their farm that maybe we haven't thought of before that we could incorporate on ours. Then also, of course, locally, I've been on our little small school board. I've helped with different things in the community. I've helped with FFA, and then I've helped with 4-H too, of course. And then now, as I've gotten older, I've found that what serves me best are boards at the state level. So I basically now I sit on 3 boards at Purdue, and there are one's an ag policy, one's the Center for Ag Commercialization, and then the other is the Alumni Seed Board. So I'm learning a lot of different things there. At the same time, I feel like I'm helping Purdue, which is my passion. If you talk anybody that knows me, I can talk about Purdue all day long. And so by doing that, it really keeps me up on the industry. So certainly not continuing education per se with classes, but just with my involvement. I'm always learning. So really the most useful skill is going to probably surprise people, but that's making posters. I know that sounds so simple, but when I do my educational webinars, I create a PowerPoint, and each slide is a 4-H poster. It truly is. So within an hour, I may show 27 or so different slides, and each slide that I develop, you think about what makes it look attractive. What's the information that's most useful? What are the sources of that information? So if they want to follow up, people can learn more about that. And so that I probably use that most in my career on a day-to-day, just the developing of a PowerPoint presentation, which looks like a poster. Some of the other things that I've learned that may be surprising to people is just the art of conversation. So I grew up in Northeast Indiana, DeKalb County, was involved in junior leaders there, a lot of different things. Some things are different than in Vandenberg, but just being around diverse people that are outside your personal family, honestly, you really learn how to converse and to create small talk. It's the art of small talk, I call it. And that has served me really well. Just the practice of conversations at a young age, and then building that self-confidence and continuing that. Speaking, of course, obviously I loved speaking contests and demonstrations, and that's what led me to go into ag communications initially, thinking I was wanting to be a farm broadcaster originally. So certainly not afraid to speak in front of a group because of 4-H, no doubt about that. The leadership, so I was an officer in my clubs, and so now I'm leading this big team, right? When I do these projects. So just learning how to be a leader, and which basically is just learning how to work with people. Again, 4-H really helped me with that. Developing the ability to want to be truly genuine and caring. So, as I went to camps across the state or did things nationally or whatever it was, I would meet different people, and every person has a story. And I'm an avid reader, so I try to read 10 minutes every day, whether it be biographies, self-help, or those type of books. And 4-H really got me genuinely interested in learning other people's stories and just how I can implement that, the good in their lives and my life, or teach it to my children. 4-H taught me that. And then, so this one I think really hits home. No doubt, 4-H teaches you how to win, how to lose, and that there are rainouts. Don't forget that one. So, sometimes you maybe are going to win things that there's no way you think you should have. You're going to lose things that don't make sense, but you learn it's really not about the winning and losing. It's about the experiences. It's about the learning ultimately. And then, like I always say, it's also the rainouts. So with the pandemic, it's been a whole year of rainouts, if you will. Things that you maybe have prepared for, the next day it's canceled. Or there's no way to make it up, or you make it up differently. And so I think 4-H has taught me that in life, that's just, you're going to win, lose, and have rainouts, and you just roll with it. Learn how to pivot. And then in my life, then with my job, I feel like this has taught me that it's all about learning and about serving others. So yes, I'm in business. Yes, I'm in marketing. Yes, I'm educating people. But ultimately what drives me what my passion is that I'm educating these farmers, I'm educating these retailers, these veterinarians, these ag business people on ways that they can improve their business to be more efficient, to be more profitable, and ultimately it helps the end product, which is not only feeding people locally, but feeding the public or the people globally as well. And for me, that's my passion, and that's what's made me enjoy my career. Probably at age 5, so I would say probably a teacher. So my dad was an ag teacher up in Fort Wayne, taught for 38 years, and I was that kid that went with him everywhere, and I would get to know his FFA students. They'd come to our house to work on proficiencies or contests. My mom would serve them meals, really got to know these kids. And so I think I've always had a passion for education. And even though I'm doing education in a unique way, I think that was instilled by just watching my dad, for sure. Okay, so this advice is not only just for my field, but I think it's in life. And my number one advice, make a habit to be happy. I'm just gonna say that again. Make it a habit to be happy. You can choose if you're gonna be happy or if you're gonna be grumpy or if you're gonna hold a grudge or you're gonna be down. And I'm not saying life isn't full of those emotions and that you need to experience them, you do. But turn that light switch and get out of that quick. Life's not fair. Bad things are gonna happen to you, but you can still be happy. My daughter, she tore her ACL a couple of years ago. That's devastating when, sports are your life. But she just made a habit to be happy immediately, looked of ways to do things differently. And now she's involved in things that she probably wouldn't have been if she didn't tear her ACL. So, God has a plan and you just run with it. So that's my number one advice, is make a habit to be happy. Some other things I did write down, especially for teenagers, don't compare yourself. I guess adults too. Don't compare yourself to social media. And that is so hard. I didn't grow up with social media, kind of thankful, honestly. But for those that are, you're never going to be that person, and people aren't necessarily showing everything in their lives. And so I just learned this phrase recently, and I've been telling my kids, it's kind of a joke now, and it kind of pertains to social media or other things in life. But so wear earmuffs and blinders, right? So you're going to hear things that are going to distract you from your passions and your goals, and you're going to see things that are going to distract you from your passions and your goals. So be in your own lane. Wear those earmuffs and blinders, have your personal goals and work towards those. Don't be afraid to take risks. You are going to fail. I have failed in different things in my life. That's okay. That's part of life. You get up and you get going and you learn from it. So, and then really the last advice that I have, and this is a phrase that I've repeated several times in this interview, I strongly encourage a lot of people, if they don't know what they want to do for sure, they're unclear with their future, consider ag business. Granted, I sit on the board up there at Purdue, but it's so broad. You can do so many things with it, and it can lead into a lot of, you can go to law school after ag business. You can have Megan's job, right? You can do a lot of different things. And if you're unsure, it's just a great way to expose yourself to a lot of opportunities.